we go. Welcome in to another edition of Bucky and BK. Today is Thursday, August 20th, 2026. And the Buck and I are with y'all for the next 2 hours. On today's show, Art Briles was almost the coach at Texas. We'll get into some new details regarding the former Baylor head coach who is back in America coaching college football in 2026. Yes, you heard that right. Speaking of the Texas Longhorns, more sound from Steve Sarkisian and plenty more insider practice nuggets from training camp going on down on the 40 acres. We'll talk some Houston Texans football, a brutal injury to the Texans wide receiver room. Cody Stutes will join us at the top of the next hour to talk all things Texans. We'll get some updates from training camp and discuss where the Texans go from here at wideout. We've got some other college football and NFL headlines from around the country. Of course, the BBK news and why today's not so bad on a Buck Off Thursday edition of the program. We appreciate y'all spending some of your Thursdays with us. Buck, on to you, my man. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, man. I'm doing just fine as we get ready to go through, hey, hotter days to come. How about that? That's the word. The word on the street there is hotter days to come in Central Texas. We're right in the midst of a heat wave. And I'm like, hell, have we been right in the midst of a heat wave since the beginning of August? When did it go away? But it sounds like the next 9 days will be over 100 degrees, and the 10th day will be 98, a smooth 98 degrees with no rain in sight. So these are the dog days. It really is. This is where football players and kids that are getting ready to, whether you're a cheerleader, a football player, a band's member, this is where you got to suck it up now. This stinks. You got to hydrate yourself. You got to get your rest. You got to eat good meals. You got to take care of your body now and your mind, because this will work. This will work on your mind, as you know well enough, as you've been out at sea for the past week and a half. It seems it's kind of a mental thing, but it can be very physical at the same time. So I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
98 degrees, a little cold front coming to Central Texas, huh?
Oh, that's on the last day. That's on day 10 after this.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you and I are experiencing different temperatures right now.
Oh.
Yesterday, I was cold. I was in 40-degree temps in the great state of Alaska. And I was layered up. I had jackets. I had vests. I was shivering for the first time in a while. And the first cold always hits you when you're used to 90 to 100-degree days, and all of a sudden you go to 40s and 50s. It feels like 20s or 30s because your body's just not used to it. You don't have that like transition period from summer to fall to winter. I just went from summer, and it's still technically summer here, obviously, but it was winter-like for us Texans here in the, again, great state of Alaska. But getting off this boat shortly after the show today, and I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't excited, my man.
Yeah, you did have a little excursion where you got off that boat yesterday. That once you hit dry land, it's just and it doesn't take very long to get your equilibrium back when you're on land. It's almost like, am I going back on there? Am I truly going to board that again and do that?
That was me yesterday, our final day of excursions. And as soon as I got off the boat and got on the land, I got on all fours and kissed the ground. Not even kidding. It was great. And I felt just fine. And then, like you said, all right, we did our little excursion, some kayaking near some glaciers and icebergs and Valdez, Alaska, not Valdez. Apparently it's Valdez, even though it's spelled Valdez.
Yeah.
I asked if they got the name from the
These nuts.
These nuts guy?
Yeah, and they said no. They didn't really like that question very much. But as soon as I got back on the boat, I'm like turning around. I'm like, do I want to get on this boat? Can I just stay here and take a flight back home so I don't have to do this again?
Wow.
But thankfully, the conditions aren't as bad today, and we are almost done. So, yeah, I am doing well, my man. Thank you for asking.
That is wonderful. Big buck on to the kiddos and the car line who started school this week, starting to get to the end of it. Good job making it through. Hopefully that first impression was a good one that you put upon your classmates, your teachers, all the administrators in your schools. Hopefully, hey, your parents already know about your first impression. It wasn't all that good. They slapped you on the butt and you start screaming. So your parents already know what their first impression of you. They got that already. So you don't have to impress them. They know exactly what they expect from you. They've known that for a long, long time. But the other folks, this is a big one this week for a lot of kids, and hopefully it was a good one for those kids. Good day to the soldiers at Fort Hood, Texas, the soldiers in the state of Texas, and all those that fight for us each and every day. Thank you so much for what you do, whether it's cold, whether it's heat, rain, shine, you are there for us, and we do appreciate what you all do for us. And to you and your families, please be safe out there.
Yes, indeed. Well said, as always, my friend. All right, let's dive into the sports conversation on a Thursday program. How about a buck off to Art Briles to start things?
Yeah, that's a good way to start it. Always a good buck off to that dude.
Oh, my gosh. He's got the eternal buck off. That will never go away.
No.
Also, a buck off to Brett McMurphy of On3, who, for some reason, in the year of our Lord 2026, is writing a puff piece about Art Briles. Like, we don't need articles or stories or videos or podcasts trying to defend Art Briles, giving that guy a platform, acting like he was a victim with everything that went down at Baylor a decade ago. Yet he is back coaching college football in America at the age of 70, Buck. He's basically your age. You've been out of the game for a long time. Art Briles just took a new job this offseason as the head coach of Eastern New Mexico University. Not like New Mexico or New Mexico State. He's not Division I FBS college football. He's kind of been blacklisted, and rightfully so, because of what went down in Waco. But he's got a new job. He did an interview with Brett McMurphy, and he told Brett that back in 2014, he accepted a 6-year deal to replace Mack Brown as the head coach of the Longhorns, but he changed his mind after Baylor lost the Fiesta Bowl to UCF. He said, quote, "I mean, I was there. If we'd won our bowl game, I would have left Baylor 100%. It was done for me because I'm a state of Texas guy and my son Kendall played there, so it made sense," end quote. So you think of the alternate universe we thankfully did not have to live in, but could have lived in, with Art Briles replacing Mack Brown and becoming the head coach of the Texas Longhorns for who knows how long he would have been here, Buck.
Forever, like he is now. He's trying to be, and he wants to be known forever. He needs that notoriety. He just won't go away in his 70s. I mean, really, he's got to be able to do something besides coach, can't he? I mean, I know he's probably tried podcasting. He's probably tried everything. How about sanitation worker? There's nothing wrong with that job. Just do a good job at it. That's all.
He should be a janitor somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, really.
I'm trying to think of like the worst.
I don't even know if he should be in a school. I don't even think he should be near a school for sure. Just maybe in some high rise up on the 30th floor, all alone at 12 o'clock at night, cleaning up the joint.
So, yeah, that's fine.
Rummaging through other people's desk drawers.
Oh, I like that. I was going to say rummaging through toilets. He's just got to go clean up a bunch of bathrooms somewhere. Just the worst job someone could have. I think if anyone deserves to have it, it would be Art Briles.
Yeah, I think I remember at the time there was a deal with him wanting this job, but they said he had to interview, and then he just wanted the job. He was thinking, why do I have to interview? Back in the day. And then I think the university said, no. I think they were no anyway, but maybe they thought if they just asked this guy, they knew how, bold, arrogant he was. If they said, come interview, he would say no, give him a little bit of an out. But I don't think they ever really offered that guy any money.
No, and that's how I remember it too. I mean, for a lot of Texas fans, I know you have to go way back in the past and search the memory banks and think about things that you haven't thought about in a while, but that's the way I remember the story too, is that, look, Texas did flirt with Art Briles at the end of the Mack Brown era, and Art Briles was winning a bunch of games, and he had little old Baylor, who had never done anything as a football program, being ranked in the top 10, competing for conference championships in the Big 12, playing in BCS Bowl games and New Year's Six games, and he was a pretty hot commodity, one of the biggest names in the coaching world. And I know Texas did kick the tires a little bit on Art Briles, but if my memory serves, Art Briles wanted this Texas job, like you said, without interviewing. Like Texas.
Yeah, he just wanted the job.
Texas was trying to do a pretty normal coaching search like any other school where, okay, we're going to talk to a number of candidates and, hey, yeah, we know you've won a lot of games at your current place, but we'd like to talk to you to make sure that you're the right fit at Texas. Texas wanted to interview Art Briles. Art Briles didn't want to interview. He wanted the job without having to have that conversation. And Texas didn't want to, kind of be left out to dry. So they were hoping they could get some sort of handshake agreement from Art Briles before he interviewed, because they don't want to interview him and then get left at the altar. And it kind of felt like, at least the way I remember it, was neither side wanted to be left exposed. So there was never an official offer. And Art Briles obviously ended up staying at Baylor. And then within 2 years after that, we find out everything that was going on at Baylor.
Right.
And you talk about dodging a bullet. It sure feels like Texas dodged a bullet not having that guy on campus with the way things went down.
Yeah, we ended up with Charlie Strong, but losing with Charlie is better than winning with that dude.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, a door number 3 would have been nice. And not to bring up the whole Nick Saban conversation again, because it feels like we should be well beyond that. But that's
God, I haven't heard that in 5 years now. It's been about 5 years since we said the word about Nick Saban and the University of Texas and his wife looking for houses here. It's been 5 years, BK, since that's even come up.
Well, you think about alternate timelines, and of course there's that one with Art Briles being the head coach of Texas football, which is one that you like not to think about. And then, of course, there's the one where Nick Saban was the successor to Mack Brown. And that's the one, well, you also don't like to think about it because it makes you sad. It makes you wonder what could have been around here. Like, God, Nick Saban was here instead of Charlie Strong and Tom Herman, then the whole perception of this program and
my God, that old dude would still be hanging out here.
Right. Well, I don't know. He may have retired at some point like he did at Alabama, but he, I think, would have brought Texas a couple of national championships, considering he won 6 at Alabama. Now, I know some of those were before he flirted with the Texas job, but yeah, that's a much more positive timeline.
He could have played the money game here as time goes on and things changed in college football. He may have been able to make the change here. The money would have been good enough that the NIL, they wouldn't allowed to let him lose here. No. He wouldn't have lost out on being money whipped for other teams for players, I don't believe.
Well, this was all pre-NIL, and right. I mean, I'm a pretty strong believer in the fact that Alabama, and look, Alabama wasn't alone, but I do believe there were some JanSport backpacks filled with cash.
Oh, for sure.
Being given to recruits and families. So I think more
of that.
Yeah,
the brown paper bag was over by then. You're right. It was backpacks by then.
Backpacks, duffel bags, whatever it was. I mean, there was a way Nick Saban was able to get the players that he was able to get for as long as he did at Alabama.
Sue Patrick luggage. They probably had Sue Patrick luggage when he was at Bama at the end. It just didn't seem like enough.
Do they make Bama gear at Sue Patrick? I don't think I've seen any of that.
They would have done anything. You would have had all kinds of carrying cases there for sure.
Yeah. So that obviously was almost the plan for Texas. And then obviously Mack Brown ended up staying an extra year. And then apparently it was almost Art Briles as the successor to Mack. And then obviously that fell through and it ended up being Charlie Strong. But Jake brings up a great point. Like, I just don't know why a Baylor UCF bowl game would determine whether or not Art Briles was going to leave Waco. Like, that's where the story makes no sense. That's where he's clearly
that's
lying.
Him, though, but that's that guy. That's where he throws in his exactly. 2 cents to make you think that when that's not even true. The day that I got to believe everybody had interest in that guy, and if they could have found some of that stuff not to be true that happened at Baylor, people would have taken a chance. But at Texas, you weren't going to get this job without an interview. If you said to them, no, you just need to give me the job, I'm not interviewing, it didn't matter who was the president, who was the AD. They were going to say, you're not going to come to interview with us. Are you out of your mind? Yeah. We're not going to get to sit down with you in front of us and our committee. You just think you're good enough to have this job? Anybody at that time was going to say, sorry, that's not going to work here.
Agreed. And that's what I remember the story being. And of course, Art Briles in a long time. what Art Briles said, and he almost took the Texas job, and he was offered, and he was ready to go, and he just wanted to be loyal to Baylor. Like, that's not how the story went at all.
No.
And again, I don't know why losing one random bowl game would change your opinion and change your total career path. Like you said, you can't trust this guy. You can't trust anything he said. He's a known liar. He was doing it for a long time, and the national media is not running with that part of the story, I guess.
No, it's unfathomable to think that a place like Texas would not let a guy interview. They're going to investigate him. They had probably people down there investigate before all the stuff hit the fan. They probably had people. What kind of guy is Art Briles? What kind of recruiter is he? Where are some of the skeletons that we need to know? So before the real skeletons got out, this group at Texas knew about. And then he's going to tell them that he's not going to interview. They must have thought, you have got to be out of your mind. We're not just going to hire a football coach at Texas that doesn't want to come and sit with us. We're not good enough for you to sit down with. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, maybe he didn't want to interview for a reason. Maybe he knew what was going on.
Right.
And again, the scandal at Baylor didn't come to the public eye until a couple years later, but maybe he knew what was going on there, and he knew that, okay, if somebody externally starts to dig a little bit to try to hire me, then maybe I'm going to get exposed and things aren't
because
going
Texas
to work
is they're going to dig. Even if you come visit them, they're not going to ask questions about you. They're just not going to do that. No matter how good you've been, they're going to dig.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's good move by Texas. I'm glad it didn't end up happening. Again, at the time, I know that was a hot name, and the job that he had done at Baylor was very impressive, but obviously at what cost? You don't want any of that going on at the University of Texas campus. I mean, the women at Baylor were just unsafe, and he created a toxic.
Yeah, he did. I mean, that was a toxic program, and they had no respect for. I mean, all the parents that sent their kids there, and they're not just football players. All the parents that sent their daughters to that place, they had to be on the lookout for players because the players were running rampant, running nuts because the head coach was nuts. So it wasn't just football players that were involved in football actions, but students on that campus. That was a shame, and that would have been and Texas was not going to let that happen. They, like I said, they're not hiring anybody without checking out some of the, they're going to at least open up the closet and see what's in the closet. There's no doubt about that. And with that guy, thank God they did not to interview, thinking he was not going to interview. There's just no way that was going to happen at the University of Texas. Yeah, that thing went full circle from Mac to Nick Saban, Terry coming to Austin, looking at real estate. That whole thing was kind of bizarre at that time. But the university ended up with Charlie Strong. I mean, it wasn't great, but I think at least Charlie was pretty honest. I knew Coach Strong for a long, long time. So at least he was on the up and up. I don't know if he could coach. Hey, makes a good defensive coordinator, but I don't know, head coach-wise, it wasn't that great. But that's a lot better than having a scumbag running on your campus, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Look, did Texas get the Charlie Strong hire right? No, obviously not. The results speak for themselves. It's why he was only here for 3 years before the Longhorns moved on. But again, I'd rather not have the extra stuff with Art Briles, the baggage with Art Briles in the name of winning. I mean, that's ridiculous. And obviously, everybody except Mount Vernon High School felt the same way. I'll never forget that. Like in 2019, years after the Baylor scandal, but everything already came out and everybody knew what Art Briles was about. Mount Vernon High School, North Texas, they offered that guy a job with high school kids. And just in the name of winning, like some random ass high school program was so desperate to be relevant that they gave Art Briles a chance. He was there for like a year before they realized that, maybe we should have not done this. And he ended up coaching in Italy a couple of different times. And again, now he's back in the States at Eastern New Mexico at the age of 70. But yeah, buck off to Art Briles for making stuff up, just totally lying about how the situation went down at Texas. He was never formally offered the job. There was never, I was 100% taking the gig. You can't take a job that you're never offered, Buck. And he was never offered.
They named their stadium in Stephenville after that dude. Really?
That's a bad bit. right there.
Yeah, really a bad bit.
And buck off to Brett McMurphy for, again, writing this piece, like a puff piece, trying to defend Art Briles, trying to make him look like a victim or a martyr. Are you that desperate for clicks, dude, that you're going to feature this guy? Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, McMurphy's done some pretty good stuff, too, in his career. Why would you dip back into this? I mean, this sounds like clicks. I need something that I can that I can defend myself a little bit. Now that I've gotten to know this dude and talk to him, let me defend him a little bit so that people will come after me come after me. I'm a man. That's just dumb.
Yes, it is. So, yep, there you go. Again, that's the story surrounding Texas that kind of made headlines yesterday. Art Briles saying he had basically accepted the Texas job and he was 100% going to take a 6-year deal to replace Mack Brown in Austin. But according to Art Briles, after Baylor lost to UCF in the Fiesta Bowl back in 2014, he decided he wanted to stick around. And, yeah, clearly a lie, but thankfully Texas didn't hire that enabler.
Yeah, I mean, really, as I said, I don't mind people getting second chances. Not everybody gets a second chance. By the way, not everybody deserves a second chance. So that's one of those dudes that's, somebody thought better, a high school thought better for their students than they hired that guy for a year coaching. That's bizarre.
That's bizarre. And some team in Italy hired him a couple of times. I don't think he won a lot of games over there either. But now he's at Eastern New Mexico, again, at the age of 70.
He's got to be able to do something else. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe there's nothing else. There's nothing on his resume that he's ever done. He wasn't a lifeguard at the Puerto Rican pool or something. I mean, really?
I don't know. I think he got into coaching like right after he played. I think he played college football at Houston, if memory serves. And he just got into coaching and worked his way up and eventually got the Baylor job, was there from 2008 to 2015. And again, won a lot of games, had a lot of success, but we found out at what cost. And again,
yeah, we're always down at the Stoops, but we're not down at the Stoops like we are about our Briles. No, we just don't like the Stoops. Yeah.
What does Bob Stoops have to do with this?
I'm just saying, there's some coaches that just, remember when A&M thought that they had Stoops coming there as their head coach.
Oh, that's
and they all planned those. Yeah, any of the Stoops. Even if you have them on your staff, it would be like, really, you're going to do that? Well, yes, you're going to do that before you do that other thing. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Well, first of all, one of the Stoops is on staff at Texas right now.
Right.
Don't forget about that. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's an apples to oranges situation. I mean, A&M fans didn't want Mark Stoops because they had coach game.
That's true. And that to them was panicky as it is. Yeah, it's definitely apples to oranges. But for Art Briles to even have, for them to even, that's not even a thought. I don't think, like I said, the fact that you didn't think that you had to interview for this job, at any part of this job, at any, not just football, any position here, in the athletic department, that you were too good to sit down and interview, that they should just give you that job. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's how it went down a decade ago. And again, it's a decade
that's how
ago.
I remember. That's how I remember it. That's how I remember it. I don't remember this, that guy being offered a job. I just remember the words that he decided that he wouldn't take this job because he was going to have to interview. And I'm thinking, okay, then you didn't really get offered this job.
Right. Well, Texas bungled that coaching search pretty bad, and not just because of the Art Briles thing. Again, in hindsight, it was great news that they didn't hire that guy, but a bunch of coaches around the country got a nice pay bump after being linked to Texas. And it was Steve Patterson time at Texas, where the whole athletic department was just in shambles. And it was a pretty bad look for Texas. It's like, man, we can't. I felt like the Longhorns had to stoop to their 6th, 7th, or 8th choice. With
Charlie was like number 6 or 7,
at that time. But again, even though there was a lot of bad decisions being made at that time, in that era of the Texas athletic department, that was one that turned out to be a good one and a bullet dodged by the Longhorns. So, I don't know what's happening. I mean, I do know what's happening. I'm still on board this ship, and I guess the Wi-Fi decided to wait till the last day to really be screwing up. So,
And once you got your sea legs under you, now it's going to screw up.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Another reason to not get on a cruise ship ever again.
Don't even say that. You'll be going to the Bahamas next time.
Yeah, I'll get on a plane and go to the Bahamas.
And stay on land.
I didn't say I was never going to travel again. Like, Alaska was great. The views were awesome. But next time by land or by flight instead of by sea. Oh, man. All right. So we'll take your thoughts on all of that. And good point by CEB. I forgot that Art Briles tried to get a job in the Canadian Football League. I think someone had basically agreed to hire him, but the court of public opinion spoke up, and the backlash was too strong. And
you're right.
The team it was decided to renege, and they ended up going in a different direction. But Eastern New Mexico has decided that enough time has passed, and we really would like to win some games here. So we're going to bring this dude to our campus.
How old is this dude? This dude's older than me, right?
70.
Yes. Just 70?
Just 70.
Damn, I'm an old dude.
Well, you're 71, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Art Briles turned 71 in December, so you've got him beat by a couple of months.
Wow.
And yeah, he, could you imagine being a head coach somewhere now?
No.
Not just a position coach like you were, a head coach?
No. Maybe my granddaughter's soccer team or something, assistant coach.
I don't even think you want to do that.
In charge of orange slices for halftime.
I don't think the coach does that. I think that's the parents who do that.
Yeah, the parents. Yeah, that's the parents' deal. I've done that. I've been orange slice guy before.
You didn't coach soccer back in the day?
Never got on that field and kicked the ball. Only down at the playground where nobody was looking, or in the backyard. Never have anybody seen me kicking that thing around.
Oh, you didn't want to be associated with that football, huh?
No, not back when I was coaching. No, not at all. I was not a big soccer fan. And my kids played it, loved it, nice education, but too many battles of that's not really running. You're jogging over there, getting into battles with my kids about we're always on a dead run. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm watching this. I'm watching guys walking. What are you talking about?
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that. All right. We'll take your thoughts. The Coda text line, 512-222-9328. The YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch live chats are rocking and rolling as well. I appreciate y'all bearing with me this morning, dealing with some technical issues. We'll keep things rolling. But we'll dive back into some Texas football, some current Texas football. Some updates on the Longhorns offensive line, obviously following the Trevor Gooseby injury news, and a couple of other storylines coming from this week of fall practice. But before we go anywhere else, Buck, how about our first round of sponsor shout-outs?
So to our friends over at Relax the Back, as I said before, it's not always about having back pain. It's about preventing back pain. And at Relax the Back, folks, you got an opportunity to do just that. Select office chairs, zero-gravity recliners, of course, Tempur-Pedic mattresses and pillows, and all the accessories that you need for your shoulders, your upper back, your thoracic, your lumbar area. They've got it at Relax the Back. They would love for you to buy a recliner. They're not going to stop you if you want to buy one of those nice recliners. But if you're at a point right now that you can't afford one, look at some of the accessories that they have. They have tons of those in both of their locations. And they've got two great locations in BK's at the Hill Country Gallery across from Whole Foods, and in North Austin at the Gateway Shopping Center, right across the street from the Container Store. Live pain-free like the Buck at Relax the Back. I was up there in North Austin because I broke my 5-wood, so I was at Golf Galaxy because I was messing with Louie, and I hit him on the butt with my 5-wood, and it broke the head off the club.
You shattered a golf club on your dog?
I just kind of moved him out of the way. I was trying to move him out of the way, and I had my 5-wood. And then I went to the golf course, and I took a swing, and the head just snapped after hitting the dog on his backside with it.
Wow.
That dog is big, man.
That's animal abuse right there. You're breaking clubs on your dog?
No, just trying to move him out of the way. Just move him to the side.
Move.
No. If I did that, that dog would turn around and bite my arm off.
surprised he didn't after you broke a 5-wood on his back.
No, he doesn't play those games. He's okay. You can move him, just he'll turn around, but you're not going to hit him because he's going to start trying to hit back or jump at you. So yes, love relax the back, folks.
Yeah, I don't know how that was part of a relax the back ad.
Do I get to take that? Can I take that? I can take that head off that and get another shaft, right?
Take the head off your dog and get another
no,
dog?
the 5-wood. I can replace that, right? They know how to do all that stuff.
Relax the back? I don't think so.
No.
I could be wrong. I've never asked that question. I've never asked.
I may have to ask Brian. I'll ask Brian up here. Why go all the way up north? I'll ask him down here, down south. Yeah, the Galleria. Hey, can you redo this head on my club?
Oh my gosh. Well, why go anywhere for your tickets when you could just shop online at centextickets.com? Seriously, log on from your phone or computer. It's so easy. Just head over to centextickets.com and tickets to any live events await you there. Of course, every Texas football game, home, away, neutral site, it doesn't matter. They've got tickets, plenty of tickets available online right now at centextickets.com. Don't forget to use the promo code CENTEX10. If you type that in at checkout, you're going to get 10% off of any ticket purchase. Longhorn football games, Longhorn volleyball games, of course, concerts, comedy shows, ACL Music Festival not too far away, Formula One out at Coda not too far away. If you want to be at any live event in Central Texas, again, only one place you need to go to find your tickets. That is centextickets.com.
Love them. Of course, Woods Comfort Systems, we love them too. How about this? So speaking of 71 years of service in Central Texas, how about for $70, they'll come and make sure that your drain is clean and free. They'll use their camera inspection, and all you have to do is give them a call. They'll do all this for $70. We know what they do with air conditioning. We know what they do with heating. But if you got a plumbing problem, and your drain is clogged up, whether it's in the kitchen or in the bathroom, call on our good friends at Woods Comfort Systems, 737-251-6199. That's 737-251-6199. Folks, they've been doing it in Central Texas for 71 years, and nobody does it better.
No, they don't. WoodsComfortSystems.com for more information as well. A shout out to them, and also McCall Custom Homes. Nobody builds homes better than our friend Mike McCall and his great team at McCall Custom Homes. It's a father-son team with more than 4 decades of combined experience of custom home building and home renovations in Central Texas. They started in the Austin area. They've stayed in the Austin area, so they know what it takes to turn an Austin area home into something truly special. Again, whether you want to build that dream home from the ground up, or you like your current place, but you want to love your current place, you want to give it a nice facelift, a nice makeover, they can make it all happen for you. All you have to do, reach out to Mike directly, 512-633-9580. You can find out more information online at McCallCustomHomesATX.com. It's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home. All right. Diving back into the Texas football conversation, Buck, a little more fallout, if you will, from the Trevor Goosby injury. Of course, we found out yesterday morning that the expected timetable for Trevor Goosby to return to football is 2 to 3 weeks. We are now 16 days away from the season opener against Texas State, and maybe more importantly, 23 days away from the Week 2 top 5 tilt against Ohio State. But I think some of these practice reports, and we talked to Chip Brown a little bit about this yesterday, but some of the reports that I've been reading this week have me confident that Trevor Goosby will be good to go by the start of the season, like not just for the Ohio State game, but for the Texas State game on September 5th. Because for the most part in practice this week, we were talking yesterday, okay, what's Texas going to do, right? How are they going to shuffle the deck on the offensive line? Are they going to move Melvin Ciani from right tackle to left tackle because he's played left tackle before? Are they going to move Brandon Baker back to tackle because he's got some experience out there? Is Cole Hudson all of a sudden going to get more reps with the number ones on the offensive line because he kind of know who he is because he's played in a bunch of games at the University of Texas? All of these possibilities were discussed by us and by Texas fans everywhere, and it sounds like Texas, all they've really done is just
they just relied on the guys that they have. They're not doing a bunch of switching around. It it doesn't make any sense for them. The kid that we had talked about last year got his knee jammed up, was out for the season. They're just, if he's able to play, then he's just playing.
Yeah.
And they figure even at that first game, BK, Gooseby would be ready. And some people would say, get him in there right away. My deal is if he's not 100% or in the 90 percentile, I'll let him wait till the following week. He's going to get reps. It's not like, what is it that he needs to know about this offense? Not anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why you want Trevor Gooseby to get reps is not for Trevor Gooseby's benefit. It's just for the benefit of the entire offensive line, right? Like he's going to be working with left guard. He's going to be. I mean, the whole offensive line besides him is pretty much different. Now I know Connor Robertson started some games center last year. Brandon Baker started every game on the offensive line last year, but it's just different in terms of where guys are. And obviously, you've got a couple of transfers who are projected to be starting. So, yeah, in terms of just building chemistry with the other guys.
The most important thing is he's ready for that second week because the continuity, I don't care what the continuity should be with the offensive line in week 1 against Texas State. I don't care who plays. I don't care if your backup quarterback's playing left tackle. You can't lose that game. Nobody's going to care. You know?
And that might be the decision that Texas has to make. And you're right. I mean, the Longhorns should have no problem with Texas State without Trevor Gooseby playing. But it could come down to, all right, do we want to put Trevor Gooseby out there against Texas State just to give him some real in-game run before Ohio State comes to town? Or is it, no, let's just keep this dude wrapped in bubble wrap for as long as we can. We're just fine against the Bobcats without him. Let's just make sure he's as close to it 100% as we possibly can when the number 1 team in America rolls into DKR TMS.
It's just one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. That kid will be able to tell you, hey, I'm 97%. I'm ready to go. There's nothing that I can't do right now. So I'm ready to go. If he tells you he's ready to go, then to me, you're going to be playing in game 1.
Well,
he may not play as much as you think, but he's going to start. He's going to get some series. Then he's going to go sit on the bench because the score will be 28-0.
Yeah, and that's also an option, right? Like you could just give Trevor Gooseby a couple of series at the start of the game, and obviously you hope the Longhorns jump out to a big lead because then if they do that, a bunch of guys are going to get rest.
I think guys in game 1 against Texas State, all the eyes in the stadium are going to go just turn right at that position, and they're going to look. And they are going to take a sigh of relief after the first series. And when he goes back out for the second series, all the eyes are going to be pointed at him. Nobody's looking at any other position but his position. And then about the third time he goes out there, it's going to be like, okay, coach, that's it. That's plenty. We've seen enough. He's just fine. And there, the score should be 14 or 17 or whatever it is to nothing anyway.
Maybe that's the ultimate plan. And look, it's a bone bruise, right? A lot of it's a pain tolerance thing.
Right.
And, bone bruises, there's like differing timelines for how long it takes guys to feel like they are fully healthy. I'm not a doctor. This is just from what I've read online over the last couple of days. And we all know you can't put anything on the internet that isn't true.
That's right.
Some guys can come back from a bone bruise in 2 weeks. Some guys, it takes longer. Some guys, they could come back, but it just lingers there. And if they get hit in the wrong spot, then, it re-aggravates and they have to miss time down the road. Like there's no –
Some guys are like thoroughbred horses. There's a lot of guys at different positions that just their tolerance for pain is just not there. Once again, we've seen this guy with a bad shoulder go out there and play his ass off like nothing's even wrong with him, and he's played well. So I think he's probably got a pretty high tolerance for pain, but he's going to be smart too. He understands what's at stake. The team understands what's at stake. There's a long season, and they truly don't need him for game 1. You don't want to be dumb. You want him to get all the reps he can. You want to get the offensive line together as much as you can, but you don't want to risk an entire season because you want this guy to have continuity with the guy beside him. Screw that. I want him to be ready for Ohio State. Give me another week of continuity. You know what I'm saying? Get him playing then. So I think if you've got somebody that's been a left tackle before, and just we talked about the kid yesterday when we talked to Chip, just play him, just get him ready to go. He's going to play some anyway. Things can happen during the course of a season. He's got to be ready to play. So if it's for game 1, get him ready to play for game 1.
Yeah, and again, Texas has not moved anybody around. It's still Lawrence Seymour getting the first-team reps at left guard, Connor Robertson at center, Brandon Baker at right guard, Melvin Siani at right tackle. The 2 guys who have been getting the majority of the snaps with the number one offensive line at left tackle have been Andre Kojo and Jordan Coleman. And Kojo is the guy who I think would be the leader in the clubhouse to start at left tackle. He's a fourth-year player. He's 6'6", 340 pounds. He knows the system. Again, we keep bringing this up, but last offseason, he was in the running to be the starting right tackle for Texas before he tore his ACL and obviously didn't play a single snap for the Longhorns in 2025. So you're wondering, okay, is he 100%? It seems like he is. He's been a full participant in fall camp to this point. But obviously, we saw it with C.J. Baxter, and we've seen it here in the past. Same thing with Derek Williams Jr. last year. Guys aren't always the same right after they return from a major injury and a major surgery like that. So, and also, with C.J. Baxter and with Derek Williams, we had seen it before. We knew the types of players they were when they were healthy. Andre Kojo hadn't played a whole lot of snaps. We don't know a lot about him. Now, the coaches do. Again, it's year 4 for him in the program, but it's not like, oh, yeah, we've got this super proven commodity who can replace Trevor Goosby.
Yeah, we can't say that his quickness is like when we first saw it, because we haven't had a first C.
No, not really. Just in some garbage time moments to this point. And again, he's been in the program, so the coaches know, and that's what matters more than anything else. But I guess I'll go back to my overarching theme. The fact that Texas is not making major changes on the offensive line leads me to believe that they believe Trevor Goosby's not going to miss a significant amount of time or really any time at all, which is obviously a good thing because, again, a lot of Longhorn fans, myself included, feared the worst after we heard non-contact injury during training camp. We've seen it happen too often around here where an important player goes down before the season even begins. Trevor Goosby, one of the most important players on this team, for my money, number 2 on that list behind our man. Obviously, the best case scenario would be he's not hurt at all, but this feels like a nice backup to best case scenario. And again, it seems like there's a chance that he's not going to miss any time this season.
Yeah, and as I said, if he plays 3 or 4 series, that still gets him in there, gets his blood flowing a little bit. Plus, you get him out, and you get to find out what Kojo does. What is he? Can he be moved over to the right side if necessary? If things aren't working out, can he play guard? Where can he play? I mean, like you said, he's been in this program for 4 years. He's got to be a backup to somebody,
Yeah, and I think the fact that Kojo's getting this opportunity kind of leads me to believe that he is the number 3 tackle on this.
Yeah, Texas I think that's team. Great. That's great news, really, to know they're not shuffling a bunch of guys on the interior out to play left tackle. They feel like they've got a guy.
Yeah, and Andre Kojo has appeared in 4 games during his Texas career. They were all in 2024 when he was a redshirt freshman, and they were all blowouts. He played in the non-conference games against Colorado State, UTSA, and ULM, and also got some run in that Florida game, the one in Austin, which was a lot more enjoyable than the one in the Swamp last year, where Texas was up like 42-0 3 minutes into the third quarter. So he has yet to play. He's played in one SEC game, but he's yet to play in really a close game when things were actually at stake. Hopefully Texas State is not a super close game, but it could be Andre Kojo's opportunity to get his first career start if Texas decides to err on the side of caution with Goosby. Again, it's all speculation. We still have 16 days to go before the game. Maybe by next week, Trevor Goosby is somehow on the practice field again. But that's where we're at right now. The Longhorns.
Yeah, and once again, BK, certain guys are just different when it comes to pain and how they heal and everything else. And some guys will say, "I can't take this pain." That guy maybe said, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm ready to go." You just and if you got the stability in that knee, then that's what's important. There's no structural problems with it. It's all about pain. Well, certain guys just can take the pain.
Yep.
And then left tackle, it's not like the running back position where we saw a guy. When the guy got hurt, you're quick twitch and all that stuff. If you're a monster of a man and you can get up on somebody and get your hands up underneath where you need to get them. And Kojo, what is he? You said he's 6'4", 330, 340?
6'6".
6'6"?
Yep.
I mean, he's a big dude. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's one of those guys that, footwork wise, just get him on somebody.
Yep, and he's going to be tested going up against Colin Simmons and Lance Jackson and Zeno
absolutely.
Colton Vasek. That's better than anyone Texas State is going to throw at him in week 1.
No doubt.
obviously Ohio State in week 2, they're always loaded on the defensive line, and
Yes.
that's a whole different beast right there. But again, if you're basing it off the timeline, and it's not Texas that gave us the timeline, but it was people who covered Texas. I think Anwar Richardson had it first, but a lot of other people have kind of confirmed it that
Sure.
2 to 3 weeks is at least the expectation here, barring a setback. If that ends up being accurate, then yeah, Trevor Goosby will have more than enough time to get ready to go.
Yeah, I would say, and if he doesn't start in that first game, for people not to panic. I think that's more in the coaches, and him getting together and saying, we really need you the next week. We're going to be just fine. We've seen enough film of Texas State to understand we should be okay.
It's Pac-12 school you're talking about, sir.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that part of it. Yeah, it's not the funny belt.
Texas is a 30-point favorite as of today in that game against Texas State. So,
by the way, that will only go up. It's not going down.
You're probably right. You are probably right. So there you go. There's the latest on the Trevor Goosby situation and kind of how Texas is handling things at practice. Some other headlines this week. Buck, we talked about it last week. Texas held its first scrimmage of the fall this past Saturday. They will hold another one this coming Saturday. But one of the big storylines was not what happened on the field. It was what was happening off the field, the flu bug that was going around the Longhorn locker room. And it sounds like a lot of guys are back on the field. Raheem Briles, Justice Terry, Brad Spence, just to name a few. Some of these guys have apparently channeled their inner Gloria Copeland.
I'll never have the flu. I'll never have the flu.
I don't know why you'd want to get the flu. I would wonder why you wouldn't say that and just not have the flu.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't cure you. That just prevents you from getting it. So once you get the flu itself, it's too late. You can't start saying that.
No, you can't. It won't work for you. Well, you can't ever say I'll never have it once you got it. It's already happened. See, for me, I'll never have the flu.
You'll never have the flu. And the Texas
COVID, pneumonia, strokes, things like that. That's totally different.
Yeah. You never said you would never have any of those things.
I'd never have said that, no.
Which is why you got all of those things. Maybe you should have said that beforehand. But that's the good news. That's the good news, obviously. Something else, a couple of other nuggets that stood out to me. I want to talk about this one, Buck, because I know you've watched a lot of Raleek Brown tape since he transferred in from Arizona State. Obviously, a Texas running back right there with Hollywood Smothers competing for the starting job. And we've talked about it before. Steve Sarkisian's talked about it before. It's going to be a 1A, 1B situation at the top of the depth chart there. But Raleek Brown has been getting a lot of work on kick return. And I wanted to ask you, with what you've seen from him and his style of running the football, do you feel like that's a position that makes sense for him in addition to his running back duties?
Yeah, I know he's going to be 1A and 1B or 2A and whatever, all those things that they try to do with position-wise. I mean, he's a valuable kickoff returner. He needs to be there now because I think the other guy will be the starter. He will go out first. And no matter what you think, the guy that goes out first is the starter most of the time. And in the minds of everybody, that's the starter. Why is he going out first? You know why? Because he's the starter. That's why he's going out there first. So you can say 1A and 2A and all that other stuff. I think Smothers will be the starter. I think as a consistent guy, he's the guy that can do both. He can catch the ball. He can run in short yardage. I think he's a little bit more veteran than Raleek Brown. But the other guy is really talented when it comes to breakaway things. And a kickoff return is a breakaway opportunity, and they need to have those guys. I'm surprised that he's not back there along with the freshman wide receiver who's now a sophomore. That surprises me that you don't have those guys back there instead of your starters.
Which wide receiver are you talking about?
I think he's a freshman, isn't he?
A current freshman or a guy who was a freshman last year?
The guy who was a freshman last year.
Khalil Lockett, Dalen McCutcheon.
No, well, the freshman this year, I'm sorry.
Jermaine Bishop?
I would think I would if he's going to play, which it sounds like, BK, you're going to trust in him. That's where I would start, just to have him back there. So you have two guys back there. They're communicating to each other because there's communications back there. Who's getting the ball? One guy will be in charge. Doesn't matter where it goes. If the guy's on the right hash and it goes all the way to the left hash and he's calling it, I got it. Well, the guy in the left hash says, okay, I got to get in front and block. He's called for it. but I would give him an opportunity there. That gives him a little bit of responsibility and some communication stuff. I trust that those two guys would be back there returning kicks for me.
Yeah, it sounds like Jermaine Bishop has gotten some opportunities in the return game this fall. I think, though, I like the idea of having two guys back there, and okay, whichever way they decide to kick it, you've got somebody who can put together a good return. I think from what I've read, the two guys who are getting the reps with the ones, if you will, on kickoff return have been Raleek Brown and Ryan Niblett, which that makes sense to me. I mean, Ryan Niblett,
Sure.
all-world punt returner, the best punt returner in America last year. Give that guy as many opportunities as you possibly can. And then Raleek Brown, with his shiftiness, with his ability to turn a small hole into a huge play. And it's not like he's never done it before. He's been a return man at times in his college career. So he's experienced, and he's a guy that I think you can trust, even though it's his first year at Texas. We're talking about a fifth-year college football player here. I think trust is a big part of that. And my guess
Then
is,
if it's trust, then you're going to take guys who are veteran guys. You're not going to put a freshman back there.
Yeah. And again, Bishop is getting some opportunities. Like, I think if Texas has a huge lead against Texas State in week 1 and the Bobcats are punting the ball in the fourth quarter, I don't think Ryan Niblett's going to need to be back there. Like, that's where you give a Jermaine Bishop or somebody else the opportunity. And all right, we don't want to risk Ryan Niblett or anybody getting hurt when we've got this huge lead. So, I think those guys will get their chances, and it sounds like they've been getting their chances in practice to this point. But either way, Texas has to figure it out. I mean,
my theory of if he's good enough, he's old enough. I mean, I just have always gone by there. I've done stuff where I've had a starting running back as the kickoff returner. I did that once, and that didn't work out well for me. That was my first year of college coaching. First year of getting assistant job at Boston College. I put the kid who ended up being the rookie of the year in the NFL when he left, Troy Stratford, as my kickoff returner. I was the punt return coach and the kickoff return. I put my starting running back there, and he got jacked up on an opening kickoff. And you know who looked straight over at me? The head coach.
Yeah.
He looked at me and like, really?
Well, I mean, that's how it always is. Hindsight's 20/20. I mean, look, Texas threw Xavier Worthy back there for 3 years as the punt returner. He's one of the best players on the team. He's one of the best receivers in school history. Thankfully, he didn't get hurt. If he got hurt, people have been looking at Sark like, really? Like, you just took this dude away from our offense for an extra 5 yards on special teams? Like, that's the risk you run. I mean,
it just is. It's just a risk. It doesn't mean that you've made when it happens, yes, you've made a bad mistake, because the next guy back there was Kenny Bell, who played all those years for the Denver Broncos and was a great kickoff and punt returner in the NFL. I had him back as my second guy. I'm like, that's all I knew to do. I wanted to put the best player back there at the time. But after that year, I never did it again. Because the only other position that Doug Flutie ever played besides quarterback was a punt returner for me. And guess what? He never returned a punt. He never, ever got back there in a game to return a punt. That Tom Coughlin made sure never happened. He would be like, who's your backup punt returner? I said, Doug. And he goes, Doug's not your backup punt returner. He goes,
surprised.
You better go. He said, you better go find somebody today. He said, but Doug Flutie's not going to be your backup punt returner. I said, Coach, he's the best. He goes, go over there and get Kelvin Martin. And Kelvin Martin became a pretty good punt returner.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't fire you on the spot for suggesting that the starting quarterback should be in on punt return. What were you thinking?
He was the backup. He wasn't going to be my starter. He was just a backup.
Any quarterback.
He could have fair caught the ball. Yeah, I know. The Heisman Trophy winner was the backup punt returner. Yes. Nice move. Yeah, we had some really weird coaching going on my first year at Boston College. I was still doing bull in the ring when the head coach would come over and say, hey, we don't do that anymore. We got our starting quarterback. Doug Flutie got his opportunity to play quarterback because Tom Coughlin had the starting quarterback, John, I think Lockery was his name. They were doing drills, BK, where they'd run around. You see quarterbacks run around your hand going this way and then spin it back the other way. The starting quarterback had his thumb down, and one of Coughlin's drills running around that hand and then changing direction, putting your other hand down and going. He wrecked his throwing thumb doing that drill. That's the same guy that told me I couldn't use Doug Flutie as the punt returner. Got the start. That's how Doug Flutie got to start to play quarterback. The starter hurt his thumb in a drill.
Nice going. Great
Coughlin.
drill.
Nice drill, Coughlin.
He knew what he was doing. He knew what he had with Doug Flutie. So he
so you got the other kid hurt. You're right.
Exactly. Nice work, Tom Coughlin. That's why he's won a couple of Super Bowls right there. Yes. All right, we'll take your thoughts. We'll dive back into the Texas Longhorn conversation. Some sound from Steve Sarkisian. Again, interesting. Malik Brown getting some work on kickoff return. He's returned in the past. Texas was not a good kick return team last year. They were number one in terms of punt return average. They were in the 100s in terms of kickoff return average in 2025. That's an area that Jeff Banks has talked about that's needed to improve. I think every Longhorn fan agrees. And it seems like Malik Brown and Ryan Niblett are going to be the guys back there. Obviously, it takes
it's not the most important part of your special teams. It helps if you got a great returner because most of these things get kicked out of the end zone anyway. It's just that one that goes to the 5 or the one that hits the goal line and they bring back and you've got an opportunity to get something done. You know, that's –
it happens. I mean, there's one in the Georgia game that stands out to me where in the fourth quarter, momentum was kind of going Georgia's way. Texas gets the ball back when they don't surprise onside kick it. And I can't remember who was on the return, but he got out to like the 8-yard line.
Yeah.
It's like Texas goes 3 and out. They punt. Zachariah Branch gets a good punt return. And Georgia's got the ball at like the 40-yard line. And then 5 plays later, they score again to put it on ice.
Right.
It's like, you're right. So, yeah, more often than not, the kickoffs go for touchbacks nowadays, but they don't always. And last year when they didn't, they weren't going very far, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, it's got to be better. Other bigger fish to fry, I would argue, with this football team. But the hidden yardage in that third phase can be important, especially with this schedule. I think we both feel Texas is going to play a lot of close games this year.
Yeah, and the special teams is going to play a big part, so why not make that a big part of it?
No doubt. No doubt. All right, so we will shift gears in a moment and talk some Houston Texans football with my guy Cody Stutes. But before we take our talents down to H-Town, Buck, how about another round of sponsor shout-outs?
So to our friends over at Hat Creek Burger Company since 2008, serving, of course, those great burgers, fries, and shakes. At Hat Creek Burger Company, it's always be a place with good food, good folks, and a whole lot of fun. Great playgrounds for the kids and happy hour for the adults at Hat Creek Burger. Go on over to Hat Creek Burger, and if you're not interested in a burger, try their chicken sandwich. Absolutely delicious. BK likes the queso fries. They've got sweet potato fries. They've got it all. I'm a strawberry shake guy, whipped cream, and a cherry on top. And I'm going to have a large one this week. Didn't have one for golf the other day, but I'll have one before the week is up. There's no doubt about it. At Hat Creek Burger Company, folks, there's something there for everyone.
Yes, indeed. Love Hat Creek, and a great way to wash down your Hat Creek burgers with an ice-cold Altstadt beer.
Sweet.
My beer of choice should be yours as well. Football season right around the corner. We've got more NFL preseason games coming up this week. We also have just 2 weeks until college football returns. It is right around the corner. Actually, next Saturday is week 0. So your tailgates, your watch parties, your football watching, it's all coming back up. You need a great beer to accompany your football watching all season long. Altstadt, brewed locally in Fredericksburg, but easy to find, available all across the Lone Star State. They've got a bunch of different brews as well. Something for every beer drinker out there. The lager is my personal favorite. They've got a great German-style Kolsch, a Pils, a Hefeweizen, a light beer. The Oktoberfest, their fall seasonal, is back in stores already. Try that one if you haven't yet. I'm telling y'all, one sip and you won't go back to the other beers that you have been drinking in the past. It's the official beer of BK. It should be the official beer of you as well. It's Altstadt Beer. No impurities, no regrets.
Love it. Love the Altstadt. Right.
Love the Altstadt. What do you mean you love the Altstadt? You've been sober for 26 years. You can't say that. You've never tried
I love it for you. What do you mean? I can say it for you. You look like you enjoy it. I've never seen you with one in your hand without a smile on your face. Maybe while you're on that ship, you can't get it on that ship.
No, but they don't have it on the Alaskan cruise.
What have you been doing there? Jack Bean? What have you been doing? Jack Daniels? Jim Beam?
Zofran.
What?
And Dramamine.
Dramamine. That's it, huh?
Motion sickness drugs. Those have been my drinks of choice. Or my substances of choice, if you will.
Man.
On board this ship. All right, let's talk a little NFL. It's been too long since we've talked about the Houston Texans, and unfortunately, there's a really bad Texans headline that we need to get to. But joining us now, my former co-host of The Wheelhouse on ESPN 97.5 in Houston, a guy who does a tremendous job covering the Houston Texans for Houston Football and on YouTube as well. You can follow him on Twitter at Cody_Stoots and just search his name on YouTube to get the best Texans content that you can find. My guy, Cody Stoots, joining us here on Bucky and BK. Cody, it's great to see you, man. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I noticed you guys didn't ask me to come on when training camp was boring and everything was going well, and something awful happens, and it's like, hey, let's get Cody on, talk about the Texans. I need an Altstadt and one of those giant strawberry milkshakes to drown my sorrows after.
Oh man, yeah, and Cody, that is bad news. And this young guy was about to have a sensational year this year. Things were looking bright for him last year, and to have this happen, was this non-contact?
No, it looked like he bumped another guy a little bit coming down funny at the end of a red zone play. So Jaden Higgins, the second-year wide receiver for the Texans, tore his ACL, and he was going to be a huge piece of this offense. He was going to be the number 2 guy behind Nico Collins. He finished the season on an absolute tear last year. Like his last 11 games, he had 85% of his production on the season. In those last 11 games, he'd really started to figure things out. He came back looking like $1 million. He'd put on weight. He was faster. Everything was clicking. Everything was quicker. And to lose him, man, just a huge blow for the Texans. Probably one of the most important offensive pieces on this team heading into the year. And so now it's kind of back to Nico Collins and a bunch of other guys until something happens or somebody steps up. But yeah, Jaden Higgins going down with that ACL injury, that was tough for the Texans. And there's not anybody really that can immediately step up that's in the building. And after scouring every depth chart in free agency, I don't see anybody that's immediately replacing him either. That's the tough part for the Texans. They kind of just got to make do right now.
Yeah. Cody Stoots of Houston Football joining us here. I was going to ask you about extra options or alternate options for the Texans. Is there anybody still out there in free agency? Do you think Nick Caserio would be willing to make a trade to try to bring somebody else in? I know we're so late in the offseason that, like you said, there's not a lot out there, but is there a name or two that you think the Texans should at least kick the tires on?
You know, I think the first name that kind of just popped in my mind just because where that franchise is and what that player probably would want out of the situation is call Cleveland about Jerry Jeudy. They've got a couple of young guys that they just drafted in the draft. They're not really going anywhere right now. He's already been paid. You could take some financial burden off of their books. And he's the only player that I kind of looked around and thought, oh, okay, like he's a capable enough player, solid enough player, but there's two training camp practices left for the Texans. They got a preseason game tonight. They got a joint practice and a preseason game next week, and then 2 practices. And training camp's over. And then it's get ready for the Buffalo Bills. Heck, they might already be getting ready for the Buffalo Bills. So it'd be a lot of catching up there from a Jerry Jeudy standpoint. But he would kind of fit. It would work. I know some people have kind of proposed the idea or thought about it because New England has added a couple of different wide receivers this offseason about Kayshon Boutte. But he's just – why would the Patriots help you? Somebody else could use him more than the Texans could. Mm-hmm. And if I was the Patriots, I'd say, you want him? Fight 28, 29 other teams on waiver cutdown day and go claim him on waivers. I'm not trading him to you. We had to go through you to make the AFC Championship. We're not trying to make you any better. And then I see just the preposterous stuff. Hey, well, C.J. Stroud knows the Ohio State wide receivers. Call the Jets about Garrett Wilson. They're not doing that. Call the Cardinals about Marvin Harrison Jr. They're not doing that. And free agency's I mean, if you're a free agent now, you stink. I mean, there's 90 guys on 32 rosters, and you're not on a roster. You either stink, you're hurt, or you're retired, and nobody's told you yet. You know, so
yeah, you're right.
It's just there's not a lot of like immediate fill-in options.
Cody, what do you propose, and what is the offense going to propose? I saw in the first preseason game there was a young tight end who was catching a lot of passes early. He stood out. That wasn't just one of those. He likely caught 5 or 6 balls. He looked like he ran really good routes. He's got really nice hands, and he's more on the receiving end as a tight end than a blocking tight end. I mean, he can do both, But I like the way his body movement, his flexibility. Is that young guy going to get an opportunity?
Marlon Klein from Michigan. He's their second round pick. He's their second round pick. And a lot of people felt like the Texans overdrafted him because he was seen primarily as a big body blocker, but they loved him as receiving potential, and he's shown it. Man, he's shown it every day in camp. He's a big guy, but he's smooth with his routes. He's a decent blocker, and he's getting better at blocking. Yeah, they're going to have to shift to the tight ends. They've had a bad tight end room the past couple of years. It's been just Dalton Schultz and not really a lot of guys you can count on, but they added a veteran in Foster Moreau. They drafted Marlon Klein. They're going to have to rely on those tight ends a little bit more. Heck, Dalton Schultz was the number 2 pass catcher on this team last year.
Right.
I would think he's back in that conversation with the injury to Jaden Higgins. And then they're going to have to just rely on their rookie tight end evolving, continuing to show some things in the receiving game. But Marlon Klein's been pretty impressive. I probably was one of the few people that wanted Klein on the Texans. I just didn't want him there in the second round. And boy, he shut me up at training camp. He looks every bit worth the pick so far. Hopefully it translates to the regular season.
Definitely. Cody Stewart, Houston Football, joining us here on Bucky and BK. In a receiver conversation, Cody. You brought up Nico Collins. Everybody knows how good he is. But you said it's Nico Collins and a bunch of other guys. Well, one of the guys and the bunch of other guys is Tank Dell. And obviously coming off a serious injury, unfortunately, the start of his career has been mired by injury. But, are we frozen? Are we unfrozen?
Oh, you're good. You're coming.
Okay. Just going to ask about Tank Dell. And does he look like the difference maker that he was early on in his career?
Yeah, so that's the tough part about the Tank Dell situation is if Jaden Higgins was here because Tank Dell wasn't going to be here. Because of Tank Dell's injury, that's why Jaden Higgins was in the building. And unfortunately, Tank Dell's not going to be available to kind of help the blow that is Jaden Higgins going down. Tank Dell's been in a handful of practices. He's gone through a handful of drills. And when I say been in practices, there have been days where he just does a couple of drills and that's it. He went through 3 team snaps on Saturday and then didn't practice Sunday, didn't practice Monday, and didn't practice in the joint practice. Tank Dell's way behind schedule if you're thinking about Tank Dell being on the 53-man roster. I get that he's out there. I get that he's running around. They've had him in walkthroughs, but this guy's got to practice, and then he's got to prove that he can handle a full practice. Then he'd have to do it again. Then he'd have to do it again, and then he'd have to do it again, and then he has to catch up on the offense, which he's never played in because he missed all of last year when they put in a new offense. There's too much work against Tank Dell for them to go to him and be able to rely on him or trust him. And as I mentioned, 2 normal practices left before cutdown day. Tank Dell's not going to be on the 53-man roster for this team. Tank Dell's probably going to start on IR designated return. So that's at least week 5. And then you got to work in a guy. You got to start from scratch, have him practice, work him into the offense. I just don't see how Tank Dell is going to help this team this year. Nobody's rooting against him. I love the guy. He's one of the most exciting pieces of that rookie class. That was an incredible rookie class that included the offensive and defensive rookie of the year. Tank Dell looked like he was going to be awesome. He got hurt his rookie year, came back his second year, wasn't as good, kind of found his footing. Unfortunately, had a devastating knee injury that most of the time ends careers. It's a great achievement that he's practicing, available to do some of these things, but counting on him, you can't. He's not going to bring much to the table anytime soon. I think when you're looking at Tank Dell, you're not looking at the watch for when he's coming back. You're looking at the calendar, and the calendar's got to turn a couple more times before he's available.
Yeah, it's just too bad because he is so talented. I mean, but he just seems like the kind of guy that would fall over his kid's toy and be gone. He just has that kind of luck, and it's too bad because but the thing about it, it's hard to say once he's on the field because, as you said, he doesn't stay long enough once he's on the field. He's just gone.
Yeah. It's been – go ahead, BK.
Now, I was just making sure. I don't know if I'm frozen or if Bucky's frozen. If you got that question in, go ahead and –
No, yeah, it's tough for Tank because you want him to get back, but you don't want him to rush back because you don't want him to go back on the injury again. You don't want him to go back out again. That's the hard part. And I think the big thing that I would say is hey, it's been 21 months since he's been able to play football. Is all of a sudden in month 22 when he's going to be able to get back on the field? Is all of a sudden month 23? When do you so I think for him, just to be fair to him, hey, when you're ready, but take your time. And the Texans have done a really nice job making it very clear they have their own plan for him. And when he's back, he can come back, but they're not rushing him. They're not forcing him. And Tank Dell himself even said, hey, I'm taking this a lot slower than people think. We're not worried about week one. We're worried about getting out there. And when we get out there, we're about staying out there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cody, I wanted to ask you this about, you talked about the Dalton Schultz and being the number 2 numbers wise for the Texans. Everybody else that they play against know that, you can only hold Nico Collins down for so long. He's going to get open, find ways. He's going to beat you, 50-50 balls and things like that. So they must make sure that Dalton Schultz doesn't get his, even though he was number 2. That is really going to be tough because really people play him. They play the Texans to go to him because they know what they got. They know they have to cover Nico. But they also know that Dalton Schultz is their number 2, and they play him a certain way because the year before last, he caught a lot of balls and he got open a lot, and it just didn't seem that way last year, even though he was number 2. It seems like the coverage even rolled to him a lot.
Well, he's sort of a safety blanket, too, for C.J. Stroud. They made a big emphasis last year, get rid of the football. That's where Dalton Schultz came in and helped out a lot in the get rid of the football category. That's why he got a lot more targets, a lot more receptions than you probably would want your tight end to get on a team that last year had drafted 2 wide receivers, had Nico Collins, things like that. The scary part about this that we haven't also talked about is Nico Collins has never been healthy for an entire season. So you're going to have to play some games without Nico Collins at some point. So can you find somebody on that roster to kind of have a moment or step up or groove, get into a groove? And the one guy that I think about, and I don't want to guarantee it, or I don't want to say like it's going to happen, but from a potential standpoint, hey, they drafted Jalen Noel around after they drafted Jaden Higgins. And I know Noel hasn't practiced in training camp. He's had a pinky injury that kept him out, and then a hamstring injury kept him out. But if you're looking for potential, a guy that can change things, Noel's the fastest player on this team. He's going to play in the slot. He can play outside. If he has a really good second year and has maybe the jump from where he was last year to what we thought, Higgins could do, like that same level of jump, that's something that could kind of help this offense and help replace Higgins. I think it's going to be a conglomeration of everything to replace Higgins. But if Noel, who was drafted just a round later than Higgins, if Noel is a really good player, that sort of helps soften the blow of Higgins going down.
Does he stay your punt returner, though, still?
I think he's probably going to stay the punt returner, though they have had a bunch of opportunities to test other guys, so you could take that off of his plate. And then Woody Marks has been excellent at kickoff returns, and so you could take that off of Jalen Noel's plate and put that on Woody Marks' plate. So if Noel has to play a lot more wide receiver, to kind of your point, you could take some of those special teams reps off his plate.
Yeah, Cody Stutes, Houston Football, joining us here on Bucky and BK. Technical difficulties on my end, but I don't think a CJ Stroud question has been asked, Cody. How's Stroud looking? And really, does anybody care at this point? Like, is it all what can you do in January for CJ Stroud, or are people actually paying attention to how he looks in training camp and obviously going into the season?
Stroud's looked fantastic. It's been his best training camp, which is wild to say because he had a season where he ended up winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year a few years ago. But even that training camp, he didn't look as good as he's looked now. He looks confident. He looks confident in the offense. His pocket manipulation and mobility is the best that I've ever seen. Look, he goes against one of the best defenses, the best defense in football every single day, and he deals with a lot of pressure, and he's handled it well in the pocket, maneuvering, manipulating things to get rid of it. But yeah, BK, like, he looks good in the preseason. Cool. He looks good in the regular season. Cool. What are you going to do for me when it's win or go home? Because that's where he wasn't good last year. He was bad in Pittsburgh. Regardless of what he says, and regardless of what the final score says, it's a one-score game into the third quarter, and he was dropping snaps throughout that game, and then he was terrible in New England. And I get there's different elements that you can make excuses for him. What Stroud was in control of, Stroud was not good at, and he's better at it right now. The thing I look at it with CJ Stroud is if he's good and the offense is good, cool, plan the parade, because this is the best defense I've seen ever. It's awesome. It's incredible. It's deep. The starters are nasty. Like, if he's good, playing the parade. If he's okay, you got a chance to win the Super Bowl. And if he's bad, well, congrats. You're on another team next year because they'll try something else at quarterback. It's a make or break year. I also said yesterday, as I thought about it, hey, your second wide receiver went down. Sorry. No excuses in a make or break year. Go make it. Go make the other guys better. Go make the tight ends good again. Go make Nico Collins even better than you've had him. Like, there's no more excuses for CJ Stroud. It's this season, and that's why he doesn't have a contract, because they don't want to sign up for something that's not going to get them where they want to go. And if he's awesome this year, they're happy to pay the price that's going to go way through the roof to keep him around. So make or break year for CJ Stroud.
How about this? How about the defense? You see any positions that may be thin maybe during the course of the year they'll get thinned out, but right now they're 2 deep, 3 deep at most positions?
So the one spot that I would say if they have an injury, you'll notice it the most on the team is linebacker. They've got 2 linebackers they trust right now, which was the case last year. So it's Azeez Al-Shaair, Henry To'o. They trust those 2 guys. Behind them, they're still figuring out. That's kind of the messy part of the defense. But they got backup corners. They got backup defensive tackles. They got backup defensive ends. I mean, they're running Jadeveon Clowney out there. 8.5 sacks last year, best pass rush advanced stats of his career last year. They're running him out there with the second team. Jadeveon Clowney he'd be the best defensive end for like 5 teams. And he's the 3rd defensive end for this team. It's deep. They go 5 deep in defensive tackle and guys that they trust.
Wow.
They can do a bunch of different jobs. They were incredibly lucky with injuries last year. That's one thing that I probably turns the wrong way, but they're really deep this year, which kind of helps them out on that. Now, are you going to get the exact same level of production? No, but can you manage for a week or 2 or a month if somebody's down? I believe they've got enough total talent and enough backup talent to manage if somebody gets banged up. It's the best defense I've ever covered, and there's Will Anderson is having J.J. Watt-like moments in practice where it's like, hey, we got to get this guy out of here so the offense can actually do something. That's how good Will Anderson's been. Daniil Hunter's one of the 10 best pass rushers in football, so it's awesome. And then, by the way, they have 2 of the best cornerbacks in football. Derek Stingley's 1 or 2, depending on who you ask on what day. And Kamari Lassiter, who's their other corner, if he plays well, he's going to be a $30 million cornerback because he'll get paid at the end of the year. So it's a crazy defense. They're nasty. They're physical. They do a really good job of working hard to make it look simple, and they hate when you say that. And I love saying it because every time they get mad and they give you a little bit more about how they make it look so simple. But they want to line it up and punch you in the mouth, and they do that to the offense every day in training camp, really.
Yeah, Cody Stutes, who covers the Houston Texans for Houston Football and on YouTube, joining us here on Bucky and BK. A couple more for you, Cody. I'm surprised the running back coach, Bucky Godbolt, hasn't asked you about.
I know. That was going to be my next question to him.
Yeah. Sorry to steal your thunder. I know Bucky was very high on the David Montgomery trade. I'll be honest with you, Cody. I wasn't. I thought the Texans should have gone in a different direction, but
the robot's back.
I'll take this one, Optimus Prime. I'm assuming you're asking about the running back situation and what to expect out of David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery's going to handle a lot of the dirty work at this running back spot. Some first down stuff, some second down stuff, short yardage. That's why you brought him over. One of the worst short yardage teams in football last year. One of the worst consistency rushing attacks last year. I mean, they put themselves in second and long and third and long too often from running the football, and they constantly went to running the football, putting themselves in that. They want to run the football. I mean, they got a defensive-minded head coach. They got an offensive coordinator that wants to set up the pass with the run. They want to run the football. They got to do it better. Montgomery was a big piece of that. They improved some guys on the offensive line. I went into this training camp thinking, all right, Montgomery probably about 65-70% of the shares, and then they'll just kind of add in Woody Marks. They'll throw him the football a little bit because that was Woody Marks' calling card in college. He was fantastic at catching the football. And I'm here with training camp, on the back end. I think that's a lot closer to 50-50 and, 55-45 than I thought. Woody Marks has looked fantastic. I don't know if it's because he doesn't have that miscast lead back role, and he's just able to kind of put more juice into what he's done. But he's showcased a lot of really good vision and patience. He's caught the ball well. Montgomery can catch the ball well. They've got to throw the ball to the running backs this year. They didn't do it a lot last year. A different coordinator in a different situation a couple of years ago didn't utilize that skill set from Joe Mixon. Montgomery can catch the ball. He's in the top 10 in scrimmage yards since he got in the league. Woody Marks' calling card is catching the football. You would talk about those safety valves for C.J. Stroud. If the pass protection is a little iffy, hey, dump into these running backs and let them go make something happen. I love the duo. I like Montgomery and I like Marks individually, but I love what they can do together for this team. It's the best running back situation the Texans have had in a very long time from a 1-2 standpoint. And there's high expectations from those guys, especially because they turned over some things on the offensive line that should allow them to run the football a little bit better. They don't have to be, you know, they don't have to be the best rushing attack ever, but they've got to be a lot better than they were last year.
Yeah, there are some guys that I'm right about and some guys that I'm wrong about. David Montgomery, how is that guy still in the league? And he's been in the league and doing it well for a long, long time. What is it, Cody, that you see him that he really does coming from Detroit? What are the things still at this time of his career that he has that you would think at this time of the career as a smaller guy that he wouldn't have any longer? What does he still got?
Well, he'll still pop you and run you over, which
he
is
will.
Great. Yeah, because they need that. They were bad short yardage last year, but man, he's still got juice. You know, he's not slow. I mean, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's not slow. And I think for the offense, he's brought like a calmness because I think they've had some agents of chaos there at the running back spot a little bit. Like Joe Mixon was kind of that wired up, like dial everybody in, like, hey, punk, you're not doing your job. You know, and then last year they're just kind of trying to find, like Nick Chubb's on his last legs. Woody Marks was a rookie. I think Montgomery's calmed everything down, and he's brought a lot of experience. Like, hey, he had success as a lead back with a good backup. He had success as a backup but to a good lead back. So he's calmed stuff down, and he's still a very physical runner, which is something that he could do better and is better cast to handle than Woody Marks, who is miscast when you try to put him between the tackles. You get Woody Marks bouncing that thing outside, you'll see some nice plays from him, though.
Interesting.
Cody, great stuff. I'm afraid to ask you another question with my internet situation, but we'll try to get this one in. Tonight, Texans-Raiders, preseason game number 2. Don't expect many starters to play, but what are you going to be paying the most attention to for the Texans tonight?
There's a couple of like key pieces to the Texans that I think are pretty important that should see time in this game. Wide receiver named Lewis Bond. He was their 6th round pick. He was in a fight to make the roster, kind of that last spot, but now with Jaden Higgins' injury, I think Lewis Bond's absolutely on the team. He played at Boston College for Bill O'Brien, who ran this system. So Lewis Bond, as a rookie, came in with knowledge and familiarity of the system that the Texans currently run, and it showed. And he's built on a nice OTA minicamp into training camp, had some nice moments. They're giving him more special team stuff. So it's pretty important for him in this game. The Texans initially were going to play a lot of starters, and then they pulled back on that after the Higgins injury. And, you know, they said they had a good joint practice. They didn't need the preseason. BS. Guy got hurt. You got spooked. You pulled a bunch of guys, you pulled the reins back, a lot of those guys. So Lewis Bond would be a guy that I would watch. And then Noah Whittington is an undrafted free agent running back from Oregon. The Texans running back 3 spot is wide open. Whittington should get a ton of carries. He's one of the only healthy running backs they have that they're going to run out there. So he's been a really fun watch, good patience, good vision, good physicality from a guy that's built like a bowling ball. He's 5'8", 210, 215. Like he's a monster, man. It's fun to watch him and to get him an opportunity against starters, because the Raiders are going to play starters. So to get him an opportunity against starters, that's going to be cool for him. And then they've got to figure out something at linebacker. So they're going to get a lot of the depth linebackers opportunities in this one. And somebody's got to show something. They've got probably 4 linebacker spots that they still have to fill and figure out. So big preseason opportunity for those linebackers. Those would be kind of the big 3 because they've throttled down playing some of those starters.
Awesome.
There you go. Cody, before we let you go, would love to give you the opportunity to promote Houston football and everything you're doing on YouTube covering the Texans these days.
No, you're the man. Thank you. So Cody Stutes, you just type it in the search bar on YouTube. You'll find Houston Football with Cody Stutes. You'll find SNL Texans Talk with myself and Landry Locker, who's my co-host on that. We're live each and every day at 4:00 talking about the Texans. And then I've got the Houston Football newsletter / website. That's www.houfootball.com. You have to put the www or it doesn't show up for some reason. I don't know. It's not a me thing. It's a website I use thing, but www.houfootball.com. If you send me an email and you say you saw me on the show, I'll give you a free week to try out the newsletter. So that'll be awesome. And please don't make fun of me that I have to say www.
What's the www? What is that all about, BK? Why are they making people do these things?
You probably still do those things, Bucky, don't
Come on,
you?
man.
Oh my gosh. You haven't heard those letters in a long time. I didn't know that was still a thing. That's so random.
Yeah, it sneaks into the rest of my stuff. I'm always like, www. I don't need to type this for this site. What am I doing?
That's hilarious. Well, Cody, you're the man. Hope to talk to you soon when I have better internet, but appreciate you bearing with me, and I always appreciate and enjoy your Texans knowledge and insight, man. Hope all is well.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks, Cody.
Safe sailing, or
he's the captain.
Yeah, I'm I'm taking over the ship. I'd be doing better than the current driver. I can tell you that. Oh,
thanks,
man.
Guys.
There he goes. Cody Stutes, great dude, longtime sports personality down in Houston, doing a great job covering the Texans. And we'll talk to Cody a lot during the regular season as well. We'll do some periodic check-ins to get the pulse of H-Town. But, man, it's interesting, hearing Cody talk, like that defense. I didn't think that defense could be better this year than it was last year. And Cody's talking like, no, he expects it to be even better in 2026 than it was in 2025. He's very high on David Montgomery, and boy, with the injuries at Texans to the Texans wide receiver room, it feels like maybe they're going to need to rely on David Montgomery in that running game a little more. But I think you hit the nail on the head when it comes to C.J. Stroud. Like, if C.J. Stroud is great, then the Texans can absolutely win a Super Bowl. If he's good, they can make a run in the playoffs. If he's average, they still might make the playoffs because of how good their defense is. But the way it usually works is your quarterback's got to get you over the edge. To this point in C.J. Stroud's career, he hasn't been able to do that in the postseason. It's why this season feels like such a big one for the Texans signal caller.
Yeah, if he's one and done in the playoffs, he's going to be gone.
There's different levels to it, but yes, I mean, like, realistically, if he's one and done in the playoffs, it's going to be his fault. Like, I don't expect the Texans to lose a shootout in a playoff game to where it's like, oh no, C.J. Stroud did his job, but the defense just had an off day. If he's turning it over as much as he did, I know they beat Pittsburgh, but he wasn't the reason why. If he's turning it over like that or like he did against the Patriots, then yeah, they'll just go try to find somebody else.
He's screwed up the fundamentals, BK, and he can't take a snap from center and the ball's on the ground. They're going to be looking at stuff like that, just the basic fundamentals of quarterback play. He had a hard time in the shotgun, snaps hit him in the hand, or if they're off just a little bit, he wasn't controlling. You see quarterbacks grab him with one hand, knock it back to the other hand. This guy, when they hit his hands, I mean, it was going back 30 yards. He just wasn't good at a lot of fundamental stuff that he should be good at. Because he's a good enough athlete. When he takes off and runs with the ball, he's fine.
What's the thing? Like, C.J. Stroud had a pretty good regular season last year. And everyone forgets, and I'm not new to this. I know when you're a quarterback, your legacy is defined by what you do in big games and more specifically playoff games. Just ask Dak Prescott how that works. But like C.J. Stroud, he wasn't dropping snaps during the regular season. He wasn't turning.
No.
He was one of the smartest, safest QBs in the league last year. And then all of a sudden you get to the playoffs and, you're on the road. It's cold weather. I get it. There's differences, but he looked like a completely different player.
Right.
And that's why I asked Cody. It's like, look, I'm glad to hear that he's looking good in training camp, but like C.J. Stroud could win MVP this year. And if he flames out in the playoffs, there are going to be Texans fans who are like, why do we have this dude?
Yeah, this is a decision year for the Texans with him.
Yeah, it is. And they didn't give him that long-term contract. They're making him earn it. I agree with the decision. I think he is going to earn it. I think Stroud's going to have a great year. I still think he is a really, really good quarterback in this league, but he has a lot to prove. There's no doubt with the way last season
No doubt.
A close. All right. Was hoping to get Mariano Rodriguez, a.k.a. Rodney Rodriguez, out of the bullpen, but he is unable to join, so y'all are stuck with me for the next.
Yeah, I mean, it just hesitates a little bit, and then you come back. You don't just totally disappear. Just sound like R2D2 or whatever that robot's name was.
R2D's nuts, I believe.
Yeah. Star Wars guy. He's like a little Star Wars cartoon guy.
I guess so. So we're powering through. Appreciate y'all bearing with me. Last show on board the Alaskan cruise ship.
Last show on board Catherine Stubing's Love Boat.
Yeah, not a lot of love being made between me and anybody or anything else besides the toilet in the bathroom.
Oh,
here.
gross.
Yeah, no, we get off the ship like an hour after the show comes to an end, and I will
You'll be throwing your stuff off the side onto the deck to get out of there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna wait in the line. I'm jumping off the side of the ship.
You know, they all as you do all that stuff, you sit in your room and wait for them to tell you you can deboard or whatever the hell is deplane, de-ship, de-nuts. I mean, whatever they tell you to do, you got to sit around and wait for a while. That sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't ask you, how was all the rules and stuff, the regulations when you got on board? Did you have to go and stand outside so they can show you where the lifeboats were and all that stuff?
No, it was very easy.
Was it really?
There's like, how if you board a flight, you've got that like safety video that they make you watch.
Get out of here.
Basically had one of those, and they make sure you have to like sign something on your TV or click
that
something
you're
on
there.
your TV that says that you watched the safety video, and then you have to go to your muster station, which is where you would go in case of an emergency. But that was all it was. Like, we watched this video and we literally went to the muster station and said our names, and they're like, "You're good."
Dude, I go to the muster station and stand there for an hour and a half standing there until the crew for that section came in and showed you how to work the lifeboat. I'm like, dude, if you drop that thing down there, I'm throwing everybody else. This is not the Titanic. I'm not sharing anything. Everybody's getting out. That's my lifeboat. I said, show me how to work this deal, because everybody on this ship it's every man for themselves. Men, women, and children. You're on your own there.
Yeah, sorry about that, Rose. I'm taking this
yes.
little door or whatever she
I
was
stood
laying
outside on that. I stood outside in that section for an hour and a half.
You know, I haven't been on a cruise since I was a kid, but I think I remember that, where it's like,
standing out there. Yeah.
I guess that used to be the process where you would have to stand out there for a while and go through like an hour-long safety ritual.
And you couldn't miss it because they had all your names were on that piece of paper.
Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, we didn't have to deal with that this time around. So I don't know if that's like just this ship or this cruise line, or if they've just kind of evolved and advanced the technology where they're like, screw it. You know, if this thing hits something, we're all dead anyways. We don't need to spend that much time on.
Yeah. Those that are going to the water aren't coming back.
No, exactly. So, oh, man. All right. We'll take your thoughts. The Coda text line 512-222-9328. We've got some Steve Sarkisian sound to get into momentarily. We'll get to the BBK news and why today's not so bad as well. But, Buck, before we go anywhere else, how about another round of sponsor shout-outs?
Folks, if you're seeking that specialized patient-focused orthopedic care, contact the experts and our friends at Texas Orthopedics. Their physicians offer comprehensive surgical and non-surgical orthopedic care for children and adults, rehabilitation, spinal care, sports medicine, of course, joint replacement. Their doctors are dedicated orthopedic surgeons there, and their goal is to get you right back into good health and the great quality of life that you deserve and that you want. Texas Orthopedics is the largest independent orthopedic practice in Central Texas. And as I said, don't forget that when it comes to rehab work. For more information, please go to txortho.com.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Some love to Texas Orthopedics. Also some love to the great team at Audio Visual Consultations. How about a word from our guy Tom McKay over at AVC?
Scientific data proves it. Size does matter.
Oh.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations. The bigger and wider your television is, the better it'll please your senses. Summer is here, and the time is now to get everything tuned up and ready. New big screen TVs, projection video, indoor and outdoor surround sound, all the goodies at great prices and followed up with great service. So give us a call at 512-255-8678, 512-255-8678, or online at avconsultations.com.
And, of course, our friends at Sue Patrick, of course, Jay and the gang over at Sue Patrick, scheduled T-shirts, the whole works, everything that you're looking for that's got Texas on it, they have it at Sue Patrick. 5222 Burnett Road. Go check them out. hopefully those scheduled classes are on their way because we got to have those. You got to have those for your Pilsners. You need that, I believe. Me, I need it for my lemonade. So those should be out. I know the scheduled tees are out. They've got all kinds of different ball caps. All the golf polos are available for you. The ladies' gear is there for you too. 5222 Burnett Road. For more information, please go to SuePatrick.com.
Yes, indeed. Love our great friends at Sue Patrick. Also love the Early Bird CBD.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I've got a red-eye flight to take tonight. I can't remember if I've told you this, Buck, but I've got a wedding in Boston this weekend.
Are you going directly from Anchorage straight to Boston, or is there a stop off in Seattle?
Somehow there is a nonstop flight from Anchorage, Alaska to Boston, Mass.
Wow.
And it's tonight. It's a red-eye. It's like a 6-hour flight plus, I think, a 4-hour time change.
Wow.
So basically a 10-hour trip for me that I'll be taking. The good news is I've got my Early Bird CBD. I'm going to double up on my Early Bird CBD to make sure I pass out for this cross-the-world flight that I'll be on.
No reason to talk to you on the flight.
No. There is a reason to avoid talking to me on the flight.
There you go.
I don't want anything to do with anybody on this plane. So Early Bird CBD, look, I take them with me everywhere I go when I travel. The gummies, that's my preference. The Buck talks about the drops a lot. Those are fantastic. It's obviously red hot in Central Texas. You're going to be drinking something. You want to get the effects of CBD and a little microdose of THC. How about a couple of Early Bird drops in your drink? You're going to feel good. I use it to relax and unwind and take the edge off. It helps me sleep. Buck talks about his experience with pain relief with the Early Bird CBD products. There's a reason for you to give it a go. earlybirdcbd.com. It's a local Austin company. Again, they make products that are designed to make you feel good. They succeeded in that mission. Use the promo code Bucky at earlybirdcbd.com, and you are going to get 20% off your first purchase from our great friends at Early Bird CBD.
Nice. We got some Stark?
Yeah, we've got some Steve Sarkisian sound to get into. And let's start with this one, ongoing position battles. This is something that we talk about and every Texas fan talks about, right? What's happening during fall camp, what jobs are decided, what jobs are still up for grabs, who's making the most of their opportunities leading up to the season. This is Steve Sarkisian from earlier this week. He was asked if, to this point in camp, if anybody has really separated themselves and taking control over some of these starting jobs that were still available. Here's the Longhorns head coach.
I don't know if anybody secured a position or not. We going back at the tape and looking at the amount of reps and different things like on the O-line, Lawrence Seymour had a little bit of a injury hiccup, nothing long term, but he only got a chance to play 11 plays of real live football. So Dylan Sikorsky got a lot more reps, and he showed a lot of progress there. I really think Kobe Black had a heck of a scrimmage at safety, and that was important for us because that's been his first real live action of playing safety. And I'll tell you, the first two of the first three plays of the scrimmage, Hollywood gets out on a run, and Jonah Williams makes a really good tackle, downfield in the open field, which is important for Jonah coming off the shoulder. I think a couple plays later, Raleek Brown gets in the open field. Kobe Black makes a really good tackle. So from a head coach's perspective, I'm watching that like that's a win for Texas. From an offensive coordinator's perspective, I expect Hollywood and Raleek to make those guys miss. But that's the challenge of a scrimmage, right? You're trying to find the positives in both sides, but also where can we improve?
No, I don't care. I'm an offensive guy. I'm expecting those guys to make those two dudes miss in the open field. I don't expect those guys to make a tackle on Raleek Brown. He should be shaking Kobe Black and the rest of them to their knees. No, I don't expect them to get a glove on him. That's why he's here. He's supposed to be making those guys miss and continuing down the field. Nice that they make the tackle. That's all good. But my expectations is a running back one-on-one with a secondary guy. The secondary guy loses 97% of the time.
Wow, no love for Kobe Black or Jonah Williams. Some of those guys are allowed to make tackles.
Well, Jonah needs to make one for his sake. He needs to be able to know that he can have some contact without coming up lame. That's what's good for me. The fact that he makes a tackle and he's not coming back holding his shoulder or his neck or his knee or his back, That's good. That's a positive there. But
Well,
next time, let's make it so he doesn't get hurt at all. Let's not let him touch us. You know?
Well, look, Kobe Black and Jonah Williams are two former 5-star players, as Derek points out.
Kobe Black is going to play somewhere.
I think both of these guys are going to play somewhere. I think that's your safety 3 and safety 4, and I think they're battling it out to see who's going to be the sort of first safety off the bench behind Jelani McDonald and Derek Williams Jr. So I like hearing that those guys are making plays. I think it goes to the number one thing about training camp and really about practice in general is it's always going to be a net sum of 0, right? If Raleek Brown does break that tackle or does juke somebody out to the point where they don't get a hand on him, you're like, oh, that's awesome, man. Raleek Brown's so good in space. What a weapon we have offensively. But naturally your mind also goes to, well, who did he juke? Who missed the tackle? Who couldn't bring him down? So you need both. You need good news. And we've heard good stories about Smothers and Raleek Brown. We've heard that they've broken tackles and made plays in space. You want to have those, but you also want to have those times where, okay, some of our backups on defense maybe they're ready for the big time. Like Kobe Black's making a position change. Okay, it's a good sign that he made a nice play in space as a safety. Jonah Williams has barely been on the field because of injuries. Okay, he made a nice play in space. And he got up and was able to play the next play because he didn't get injured. Like I'm okay with hearing some good news from the defense every once in a while.
Yeah, I hear enough good news about the defense. They're good. They're going to be just fine.
I don't want another tackling epidemic around these parts.
No, you're not going to get. They haven't had that for a while. They can tackle. But I just don't want them tackling these dudes. These dudes need to make those guys flat out miss. Because I'd be on Raleek Brown when he can. If the guy who's got the bad shoulder made a tackle, he'd be coming back to the huddle. I'd be walking back with him, talking about seriously, guys. I'd be like, that guy just tackled you, really, in the open field. We can't let that happen.
Hey, Raleek, you just let a baseball player bring you down.
Really? Mickey Mantle just tackled you. Really?
Yeah. Hey, Raleek, you just let Kobe Black tackle. That guy was in the transfer portal. He was trying to leave.
Oh, my God.
And you let him come back to Texas and bring you down in the open field?
I would have everything. I would be everything except for about his mama. Everything else is none of that is off base. I'd be all over that dude.
Oh, girlfriend, like everything else. Girlfriend, for sure.
Hey, does your girlfriend trip you up at night too, or what? What's the deal here? Seriously?
Given the
you got to make. And you're right though. It's a win-win situation for both. Hell, the guy got out there in the clear, so hell, he might as well let the little safety drag him down to the ground or hit him right in the middle of the chest.
And you're dropping the Mike Leach here.
And if it happens to be their fat little girlfriend's too bad.
Yeah,
that was Bucky as a coach. Bucky actually had that line before the Pirates did.
I was relentless and stuff like that. That guy just tackled you. And then when the guy came over to the sideline, or Ricky's coming down the sideline, I would be, hey, step out of bounds. Don't you dare lower your shoulder and give me 2 more yards. I don't need your 2 yards. You just ran 30. I don't need 32. You may need it. Maybe that's why I didn't get those 10 extra yards, because he was too busy running to the sideline, not getting hit, because I was telling him, get your ass out of bounds.
Blaming Ricky for you failing to let him achieve an 1,000-yard season as a freshman.
It was John Bianco. We're never going to forget that, John.
I'm blaming John on that one.
It was his job to tell me, wasn't it? Somebody had to tell me. I didn't run around with a stat book in my hand.
Yeah, well, you were drinking back then, so maybe he did tell you, but it was in one ear, out the other.
Could have been. That could have been. That's quite possible.
Quite possible. You know, the other part of that sound, it's funny that's where you went, but I do think it's telling, and not that we really needed to hear this from the head coach. I think this fan base is smart enough to kind of know what positions are still up for grabs. But Buck, Sark wasn't asked about left guard or safety. Sark was asked about like just general position battles on the team. And hey, has anybody done enough to kind of take a stranglehold on that job? And Sark talked about left guard and safety, which to me, obviously now with Trevor Gooseby out, the conversation changes a little bit. You got to figure out what your plan is at left tackle. But before that, it's like, okay, is Lawrence Seymour good enough to be your left guard? Can he do enough despite getting here so late to take a stranglehold on that job? And then who's your safety opposite of Jelani McDonald? It feels like Derek Williams is the leader in the clubhouse there. But I do think, again, it's telling. I think it's something most of us knew. We've talked about those kind of being the two most hotly contested battles going on. And Sark going that direction with that answer kind of tells you that he agrees.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Derek right there. We'd say the opposite. If they made a miss, then Coach Boone would say our tackling is ass. I prefer to hear that. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear they just flat out made a miss. They can go, hey, there's all kinds of tackling dummies. Go throw a dummy and tackle that in the air. You can get done with that, but don't when the live bullets are going and my guy's running down there. Say that for the games.
Yeah. Well, look, we know how it works. We saw it with the Arch Manning Cam Coleman viral clip a couple of weeks ago, where Cam Coleman made that ridiculous one-handed leaping catch, body contorting in the air. I mean, it was one of the best highlights that we've seen from any training camp around the country. Maybe the best highlight from any camp around the country to this point. And again, naturally, it's like, well, who threw that ball? Like, why is Cam Coleman having to do that against air? How bad of a throw
there's all kinds of room out in front of him. Why is that ball not thrown right there where you can catch it with two hands?
And then we find out it was Arch Manning, and of course the Texas fans are like, oh, all right, whatever, it's a bad throw. But everyone else is like, oh, Arch sucks, he's terrible. So that's where it's like there's always two sides to the story.
Sure.
I guess. And in the case of the Hollywood Smothers and Raleigh Brown and the defensive backs, it's all right. One guy's going to naturally look back. You can't have a guy break a tackle and make the tackle on the same play.
No, you can't do that. That doesn't work that way.
One guy's always going to succeed and the other guy is always going to fail in a situation like that.
Yeah, and most of the time I wanted to be the defensive guy.
Yeah, well, and you as a running back coach and as an offensive player back in your playing days, you're going to lean with the offense. That's understandable.
Yeah, every once in a while, some secondary guy will get a running back dead square in the chest. I don't mind that every once in a while, as long as the guy doesn't fumble.
As long as the guy doesn't fumble. Well,
yeah, I mean, you'll win some of those battles. A lot of times when you don't see it, which I will say, well, where's your peripherals, my friend? Why didn't you see that guy? What is wrong? You step out off the curb, you cross the street and get hit by a bus. What's wrong with you? What do you mean? I didn't see him, coach. Well, you're supposed to have eyes on the side of your head. You're supposed to see all of that. The guy's not supposed to hit you, square you up like that.
Take him to the optometrist after practice.
No, I take him over to the basketball coach and tell him, hey, this guy keeps crossing the street. I tell him not to, but he keeps crossing. And then he gets hit by a bus.
And you're going to take the blame because you're the parent.
That's right. I'm going to take the blame. I'm going to say it's not the kid's fault. It's my fault. Where's more drills? We need more drills.
Now, if I tell you not to cross the street, and I keep telling you, and I say, I swear, whatever you do not cross the street, and you do and the bus hits you, I'm going to take responsibility as your parent. But damn it, how many times do I have to tell you not to cross the street?
Oh, my God. Let me tell you. Wait till you become a parent. If you do, there will be so many times where you had to make that call right there. How many times do I have to tell you? I used to be the nuns with me. Mr. Godbold, how many times do I have to tell you? Sister, just 60 or 70 more times. That's all I need. I swear I'll get it right after that. I'm not going to tell me just one more time. It's not going to be this time, sister. It's after number 50. I'll get it then, really.
Did you actually say that when they asked that?
No, hell no. I was afraid of them. They were scary.
I was going to say, good luck with that response.
No. No, they would have you on the chalkboard. I must not. I mean, lining it up, having to do it the right way. Only time I did it good was when you'd have the eraser on the chalkboard, BK, and you stuck the chalk in the eraser. And when they made you write it 100 times, you could get like 5 or 6 at one shot. And it was all really clean and looked really good. I learned that trick early. I learned that trick in about 4th grade. Because they would leave the room, they would go back over to the nunnery and I don't know, get some wine or whatever they were doing over there. They'd come back and I'd be done and it'd be like, oh, your handwriting, it's wonderful. And you know what my handwriting looks like. But when you put it in a chalk and you just did the whole I must not talk, she goes, oh, that is brilliant. That is brilliant, sir. I said, oh, yeah, of course it is there, sister.
I don't use a lot of chalk back in my school days.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. What am I saying? The chalkboard. Oh my goodness. Did I just say, remember the chalkboard, BK?
Do chalkboards still exist? I mean, for me, it was like whiteboards. You'd have like those expo markers that teachers would use at the front of the room. That was like the replacement to the chalkboard. Do they even have those anymore, or are we just all computer all the time?
I got to believe it's all computer all the time. I don't believe anybody goes to the board at all anymore. Oh my God, that's right. You never used a chalkboard. You never picked up a piece of chalk to do that, to hear that scraping sound. Oh,
yeah, the nails on the chalkboard. Like
Oh
I've written on a chalkboard before, but it wasn't like a big part of school or anything when I was growing
yeah,
up.
I am definitely talking to the olds out here. My goodness,
Yeah.
that is. I can't believe I asked you. Do you remember the chalk? Of course, you don't remember the chalkboard.
Now, and the kids who are listening have absolutely no idea what you're talking
Oh
about.
my God.
They don't know any of that stuff.
I'm truly sorry about that, folks. That was truly off the wall, the chalkboard.
You're old.
I can still see it. I can still see it in all the classrooms most of the growing up, that freaking huge monster chalkboard. There was 2 of my AB consultations TV size. I mean, it took up the whole room.
They should have used TVs instead of chalkboards. That would have been a lot better for the kids, huh?
Only when moon landings and things like that.
Oh yeah, they'd roll in the TV for that.
They'd roll on in the cart for the classroom, and you'd sit there doing nothing. I'd have the transistor radio through because we had to wear ties because I went to Catholic school. So I had to get that transistor up my sleeve, up my armpit, through the front, into my ear, and lean over here and listen to the Yankees and the Orioles play.
Nice.
That's what I'd be doing. I'd be listening to baseball in my head like this. Yeah, okay, moon landing, so what? They'll do it again and again and again.
It'll never happen again. Just like an eclipse, Buck. It'll never happen again.
There's one coming to Egypt here next year or something.
Yeah, and there will be one in Jordan. There will be one in Russia. There will be one in Australia. There will be one in New York, one in Austin. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime eclipse. Will be here in 2 months, and then it'll happen again in 2 more months.
I know. You're right.
You ready for that? Eddie says both still exist and are used in schools. Tucker says, I'm 31 and we had chalkboards. So they're still around, Buck.
Wow.
I guess they're still around. You're not as old as you think.
Oh, I am as old as I think, but just some schools just don't have the cash. Some schools aren't. The chalkboard's pretty cheap, probably.
No kidding. All right, before we get to the BBK news and why today is not so bad, a quick shout out to our friends at Sleep Cycle Center. If you are struggling, falling asleep, staying asleep, if you snore, if your partner snores, go get these problems taken care of. It's not just annoying to you or the person sleeping next to you. It could be the sign of a serious health risk. More than 22 million Americans, you heard me right, more than 22 million Americans have undiagnosed sleep apnea. If, again, you're having trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, if you know you snore, if you're just tired by like 11 o'clock in the morning every single day, that means something is wrong with your sleep. Don't put it to chance. Your sleep is the most important thing that you do in this life. Go get it taken care of. Our guy, Dr. Chad at Sleep Cycle Center, they're offering free consultations for Bucky and BK listeners. Plus, if you mention this show, you're going to get $100 off an at-home sleep study. 2 Austin area locations, one up north, 183 and Breaker, the other in Lakeway off of 620. SleepCycleCenters.com for more info.
That is so funny. Somebody says, I tell my kids walking from the car to the front door, stay off the grass, use the driveway. Love you, but damn it, how many times do I have to tell you? You have a walkway. Why did they walk on the grass? You know, that's how you step in the dog poop. And that's why you have to take your shoes off, because that's how you step in the dog poop. If you walk on the sidewalk, you shouldn't have to worry about that. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mom, maybe scooped up the poop and I wouldn't have to step in dog crap and you wouldn't have to clean my shoe.
And I wouldn't have to take my shoes off when I come in the house. Why am I doing that anyway?
That was always
Tokyo?
That was always a kid's job growing up for me. I mean, there were 4 of us, so my parents had a lot of indentured servitude. And
of course.
Yeah, we had dog family growing up, so it was always on one of us to pick up the crap. So that's the kid's job, I guess.
Yeah, I lived in the alley in Pennsylvania when there was 8 of us, and some dog always pooped on the sidewalk. Somebody's mutt that they couldn't get them to the grass, they couldn't make it, so they just crap right there and it's almost inevitable. Your learning deal is Your head's got to be down, not head up. Don't worry about tripping and falling. You got to be careful of the dog poop on the sidewalk. And I don't know how many pair of sneakers that I stepped in, and I'm the guy that won't clean it off. Dude, I'm the guy that gets a new pair of sneakers. I don't play that game. I didn't hose. I mean, well, the first time I hosed it off because my dad was like, "What do you mean you're throwing those away? I just bought those for you 2 weeks ago. It's just dog crap. Wipe it off, let it dry out, and let's go." And I'd be like, no, about the second time, BK, because I was dumb enough to step in it more than once. I hit a pile of it. Somebody's Great Dane that they had living in the house back in the alleyway. I would step in it. It would come over the top of the shoe, like over the top. And I'd put it in a bag and throw it in the trash can. I wasn't keeping those no matter what you did.
So wait, if you step in dog crap, even if it's a brand new pair of shoes, like you just buy them from the store, you drive home and you're walking in your yard and all of a sudden you find a pile and you step in it, you're throwing them away. You're not even trying.
Now, I would say when I lived in North Carolina, when I was a young North Carolinian kid, I lived on the red clay. I could just wipe them off and then spray them down. I'd be good. But by the time I got to Pennsylvania, by the time I got 6th and 7th grade, if my shoes hit dog poop, they were gone. That was it. I wasn't washing that off. And then when I'm an adult now, I haven't stepped in dog crap in forever. Why am I taking my shoes off? I don't jump in it. I don't run and jump. My dog will every once in a while there's some outside in the front yard. I'll go clean that up. I'm not going to run out there. I'm not doing sprints on the front lawn stepping in the poop. Why do I have to take my shoes off?
Yeah, you're very anti taking shoes off when you walk in a house.
I don't understand that. I don't understand. Where did that come from? We're not from Asia. We don't do that. Why do we do that? Who started that anyway? Mom did.
Did the Asians start that? Like, is that an old?
Could be. I thought when you went into their place, you had to take your shoes off. You don't enter their abode with your shoes on.
Disrespect.
Thank you, Coach. I don't know. I've never noticed it being a race thing, but I've also never traveled to Asia.
I think you have to travel there. I don't think Asian Americans. I don't think they say to you, "Yo, Jimbo, take those shoes off before you enter my crib." I don't think they do that here. I think that's only there.
Okay. Well, plenty of people who do it here. I could tell you that.
Plenty of all types of people do it here.
Yeah, that's not. That's
because their mom started that. Hey, Dad didn't start that. That's the one you can't blame on Dad. Dad never started that.
Dad didn't start that. Okay.
No.
So back to the shoe thing. I feel like as an adult, now you said you haven't stepped in dog poop in a while, which is good. Hopefully that streak continues for you. But
yes,
it's a little easier to make that decision as an adult. Like, how did you tell your old man when you stepped in that dog crap that you were throwing the shoes away and he had to buy you new ones? I feel like
most of my shoes were sneakers, were Chuck Taylors anyway. So I wore them to basketball practice. I used them for the dance. I wore them to school. I mean, they were all everythings, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I wore those son of a guns out until you put cardboard at the bottom of them when the bottom of them wore out. So I had a pretty good streak, but dude, once I got to about 7th grade, I don't know, somebody was getting robbed or something because I wasn't wearing shoes that I had to wipe the dog crap off the bottom of them. It didn't work for me.
How'd you get a new pair of shoes? Did you actually steal them from somebody, or did you?
No, I get my mom to pay for it. My mom was very kind to me.
Nice. All right.
Mom, I just stepped in the poop. You did? Well, wash it off. Let it dry out. It's just going to flake away anyway.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I can't wear those. It came over the top. It folded. It came over the top.
Oh man. Oh man. So there you go. There's your BBK news, I guess.
Yes.
Quick mention: the music world in the state of Texas lost an icon yesterday. Frank Beard, one of the 3 founding members of ZZ Top, passed away. Frank Beard, ironically, the only member of the band who did not have a beard, passed away yesterday at the age of 77. He had been touring with the band this year. He recently took a leave of absence. I guess his health was starting to deteriorate. But that little old band from Texas, down to just one living member, the great Billy Gibbons. But, big ZZ Top guy. That's a big loss for the classic rock world and obviously a Texas band. So guys in a group that obviously hits home with a lot of people in the Lone Star State.
Yeah, that's tough. But I bet he's still touring.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I know they were earlier this year, and I think when Beard got sick, they found a replacement drummer. So we'll see. Maybe they take a little bit of a break, but I think they got a show in Austin coming up soon, if memory serves. I feel like I remember seeing ZZ Top coming to Central Texas within the next couple of weeks, but I don't know if that will change now, obviously, because of that news.
Eddie G says, you're not throwing away $200 shoes. I've never had a pair of $200 sneakers, ever.
Yeah, I don't. What's the most you've ever spent on a pair of shoes?
What, sneakers?
Yeah, shoes in general, I guess.
Well, shoes in general, I've spent $100 and something on shoes. Jeans, I'll spend $200 for a pair of jeans, but I won't do that for a pair of shoes or slacks. I don't do that. I've never had that sneaker deal where I had to have Jordans and all that stuff. I never had a lineup of all those kind of sneakers. Have you?
Yeah, in college. Shortly after, I went through a Jordan phase where I bought 5 or 6 different pairs, and I would spend
how much? Two bills?
I don't think I ever got the 2 bills, but I think I got to the 150 range at the most.
Wow.
And
like
now,
I said, my shoes were for everything. By the time I started playing sports, I'd play basketball in them, and that same, on a Friday night, they'd be at the dance. I'd have the same ones on. I'd practice with them. That's how it was. When you were one of 8 kids, those shoes were your everything shoes. Those Chuck Taylors, those high top Chucks, you wore them everywhere. And those things weren't close. They weren't ever close to $200. They wore out in about 3 months anyway.
They were your shower shoes too, right?
They were everything. Oh. I've worn dress pants with those things. That was back in the day. And plus, I had the big feet, so mine would never pass around. You know what I'm saying? I was a size 12 when I was about in 10th grade. So my brother never got them because they were always every other boy in my family 9.5, 9. I was like the big Yeti in the family, the small guy with the big feet. They never get anything passed down. Plus everything else was too small anyway, like my pants and everything. I was a little short guy with big feet. So
still are to this day.
Still am. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. But $200 sneakers, I couldn't. BK, one of 8 kids, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't get to that deal.
No. My parents, I wasn't one of 8 kids. My parents would have said no, and I've never spent that much as an adult on sneakers. Now I'm like looking for good deals and good value when it comes to.
No, I'm looking for good suits at $200.
Yeah, exactly. All right, quick shout out, Roger Beasley Mazda South, the #1 Mazda dealer in the state of Texas, part of the legendary Roger Beasley Mazda brand that's been around Central Texas for 55 years. Mazda South has won 30 straight President's Club awards. They are the best dealership in Central Texas. Check out the all-new 2026 CX-5 and Mazda's incredible lineup of SUVs and crossovers. All of them come with all-wheel drive standard, tons of safety features, tons of reliability, luxury as well. I love the CX-5 that I've been driving around back home. Take one for a spin. I think you'll love it too. Great service, great prices, great selection, and of course, the Roger Beasley Mazda name. Go see our friends at Roger Beasley Mazda South off I-35, just south of Highway 71.
All right, you get off to that ship. We got a little later program tomorrow.
Yes, one day only. Tomorrow we will be doing the YouTube portion of the show from 11 to 1. No change on the radio side, but the YouTube show will be 11 to 1 Central Time. The reason is I will be in the air during the regularly scheduled show time for us. So there's your quick heads up. Some of y'all won't remember, but same platform, same places to find us, 11 o'clock tomorrow.
You and everybody have a safe trip back, man.
Well, going to Boston, so I'll be talking to the people from Boston tomorrow.
There you go.
And you will be a part of that too. So thank you all for tuning in and bearing with my technical issues today. Thanks to you, Buck, for holding down the fort. Thanks to Cody Stutes for joining us, and thanks to all of you people for hanging out with us on a Thursday. That's all I got, my man. Anything else?
No, it's all good, brother. Have a safe trip.
Thank you very much. Hook 'em. See y'all tomorrow.